This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here with my co-hosts, Kaylee McEnany and Emily Campagno. And joining us today, Dr. Nicole Saphier is here for anything that ails you. And Joe Concha is here, too. Just 6 days out, the high-stakes midterm elections right around the corner, and President Biden is now set to give a previously unscheduled speech tonight on what he's calling the threats to democracy. This comes as the White House is facing some troubling headlines in just the past 24 hours. Newsweek, CNN, and The Washington Post all raising concerns for Democrats about the upcoming election on November 8th. Even the New York Times publishing two separate articles. One focuses on top Democrats questioning the party's midterm strategy. The other on the president's verbal fumbles. Well, that's probably a really long article. Last night, during his campaign stop in Florida, here's a bit.
You know, we're dealing with it for a whole second. Inflation is a worldwide problem right now because of a war in Iraq and the impact on oil and what Russia's doing. The war in Ukraine. And thinking of Iraq because that's where my son died. What happened was we said, okay, you know how much it costs to make that insulin drug for diabetes? Cost. It was invented by a man who did not patent it because he wanted it available for everyone. I spoke to him, okay? And I don't have a greater friend in the United States Senate, and I don't have a greater friend when I was vice president, nor as president. So, Debbie, thank you, kiddo. I don't know where you're sitting, but, or as they say in Southern, doesn't know where you all been. Hot damn, boy.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, Kaylee.
I mean, the gaffes were outrageous. You know, there's usually one or two a day. There were like 8. At one point, he even talked about an HBU and seemed to insinuate he began his education at one.
At an HBCU?
Yes, and he talked about the Iraq War, blaming that for inflation. We all know that has come to a close. There were many others. But I think what's really interesting is tonight. So he's announced this last-minute speech about the state of democracy, and it just, to me, speaks to the hodgepodge of Democrat messaging. Because remember, they tried the blood red MAGA speech. Tried that, didn't work.
Ultra MAGA?
Yep. Then he pivoted yesterday to attacks on Social Security and Medicare, which you dismantled with facts on the Faulkner Focus. And then he talks about the economy. Yesterday, the White House puts out a tweet touting hikes in Medicare numbers for seniors and what they said, Social Security rather. But in touting the hike in the Social Security checks, they were touting high inflation. So the economy message didn't work. So tonight he's going to Union Station, where he's going to talk about the state of democracy. But in another massive fail, Union Station happens to be one of the hot spots for crime in D.C.
Oh, boy.
One of my former colleagues from the White House, Chad Gilmartin, pointed out these 3 headlines. As Starbucks exits, Union Station struggles with safety, empty stores, man stabbed at Union Station, police investigating, shooting at Union Station. So they're just all over the map where Republicans have kept it basic. Economy, crime, remarkable consistency. Even Politico pointing out, you go look at Don Bacon's ad, you know, local congressman. He's staying consistent on crime, economy, from local House races to Senate to governor. It's crime, economy. But Democrats, it's spaghetti at the wall. And we pray blood red MAGA sticks, or democracy, or abortion, or lies about Social Security.
Whew. Dr. Saphier.
I mean, to be honest, first of all, the gaffes last night they're far too much. And, you know, we could talk about that for the entire show. But to Kaylee's point, I think it's important. This is going to be the last-ditch effort of the Democratic Party to make this election about the threat to democracy, despite the fact of the heavily produced January 6 hearings to his blood red speech that he gave. This is to distract away from the economy, inflation, crime, school choice, you know, the basic fundamentals of American life that people really care for. And, you know, you actually look at, there was a New York Times Siena poll that came out last month, and when people were asked about President Trump being a threat to democracy, about 48% of the people polled said that they agreed that Trump may have been a major threat to democracy. When you expand that to the entire GOP, it doesn't stick. In fact, it's about 28% think the GOP is a threat to democracy. That 28% is less than the 33% of those polled who believe Democrats are a threat to democracy. And that is what we're seeing with the Biden White House.
Wow. You know what? One other thought popped into my head. Are the tents still outside the Union Station? Because I was there not long ago.
They were last
and there
time
were
I
people,
was there.
And I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a scene.
Well, apparently they've been removed for tonight.
Did they take it out? Yeah. Oh, for tonight.
Where
Just
did
like we
people
saw in
go?
No, I mean,
Philadelphia.
seriously, I wasn't there that long ago.
That's what I've read, yeah. So.
Well,
They'll be back
One night
tomorrow.
only. Union
Where
Station
do the
is
people go?
paradise, and then it goes back to being Union Station, unfortunately. It's a beautiful place, by the way, or it was.
It is.
It is, particularly from the inside.
Oh, completely, yeah, the architecture and everything.
So talk to me about kind of going down the stretch. And you've covered many races of Senate, House, national races, governor's races. Have you ever seen anything grasping like this, where there's not a singular message? I mean, you touched on it, Dr. Sapphire, you touched on intensity, the messaging. What's happening within the Democratic Party? It feels like something's happening, and it's not his gaffes.
It's as if they're trying to play to the MSNBC audience, as if that captures the electorate in Ohio, Arizona, Georgia, New Hampshire.
Well, their audience numbers would not say that.
Correct, exactly. But you see that most of the lawmakers from that side go on those shows there, and I think they think that that's resonating somehow because that's the main
Is that
topic.
the base?
No.
Mainly the base watching?
I don't think it's the blue dogs. I don't think it's the independents. Those are the ones you need to win elections, right? Not the most hyper-partisan people on the planet, right? That host shows like that, and therefore that people watch accordingly. You remember the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And
yeah.
they say, is that your final answer? Is this really the Democrats' final statement as far as what the choice is, right? Natural gas is up 28%. Heating oil is up 27%. Inflation's still above 8%. Gas prices are still above $3.75. And you're expected to think that people are going to go into a voting booth and say, you know what? I have to choose between eating and heating. Screw that. I'm voting Democrat because I want to save democracy. This is why probably a red wave or worse is coming in 5 days from now. 6
So,
days.
Emily, I have to say that, man, I wish I could have seen you in the courtroom. When you drill down on a topic and you deliver your closing statement, it is something to behold. So what's wrong with your closing statement? I mean, you listed what's not there and what needs to be there, but it's not cogent. Like, even the players, you saw Randy Weingarten, who's the head of the second largest teachers union in America, talking to her members. It was like her Howard Dean moment. Like somebody had cranked up the microphone and she was flailing her arms, talking all about politics.
Right. The Democratic Party needs a Kerry Strug, right? They need to nail the dismount, but they never will because they didn't have anything cogent along the way. I think removing the homeless tents in front of Union Station for one night, for one speech, is a metaphor for the entire Democratic Party in this administration. It's lipstick on a pig. It's optics for a small, tiny section of the population without listening to the American people. The reason why they haven't settled on a tactic, the reason why they keep throwing spaghetti at the wall, because they're simply not listening. Let's take 3 super Democratic strongholds that are looking like they might flip, which is the state of New York, right? Probably going to Governor Lee Zeldin, let's say it, or the California 49th or Connecticut 5th. All of those pulled within that, the top concern is the economy. But then why are all of those incumbents running ads about other things? Why are they hammering the abortion
I don't
tip?
know.
Why are they, or for a second, hammering the crime tip where we know it's disingenuous? So the reality is the American people are being listened to by one party, and that's why the messaging is on task and surgical and not straying, because the American people have made it clear what they care about, and it's not messages of threats to democracy from a stuttering, incompetent commander-in-chief from a tentless station that has no Starbucks behind it because it's unsafe. It is anything but that.
Yeah, they did close the Starbucks. Real quickly, I'm going to come back to you, Dr. Sapphire, because I am curious. You hear the falsehoods of what they're saying about Medicaid and Medicare. Does any of that stick with older voters?
Well, certainly it should. So it's interesting. Kaylee brought this up. The tweet that the White House put out yesterday talking about the expansion of Social Security happening under the Biden's leadership, which was actually just because of a law that was put in there about decades ago. And the only reason that they're having to expand Social Security is because of the inflation. But it is true that there has been some things in the Inflation Reduction Act, but the way that they are covering insulin and reducing other costs are by not covering other things. And that's the point that they're not doing. So they're taking away some benefits and saying, but look at this shiny little thing. Don't pay attention to things.
You would know
away.
this. You're a doctor. What are we missing?
Well, to be honest, one of the big things is the Alzheimer's medications. They're no longer going to cover some of the newer Alzheimer's medications because they are very expensive and there's still a lot of data that needs to be on it. But so they're taking that away to lessen the prices for other things.
Look at that.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.